All right, what up, guys? It's Mateo with the State of the Lakers, and I got my buddy Martin again with me. How's it going, dude?
How you doing, man? I'm doing well.
Glad to have you back on the show, man. It's unfortunate that we can't have you on after a win, though. Maybe the key is, I guess, you can't go on the show anymore. Maybe that's what's got to happen
I
for you
know,
to
you know
win.
what, man? I was gonna say maybe I seriously I'm bad luck. But the thing is, dude, I took off after what was it? So after we lost to Brooklyn, and then we lost again, man, to Miami. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, they got that out of the way. They got that out of their system. And then they lost again, man. So we are definitely in a little bit of a funk right now.
Yeah, whatever it is, I'm superstitious, so I gotta crack the code somehow. I gotta like get my
I
stones up.
understand.
I gotta light some incense and figure out why the gods are punishing us right now.
Right.
So if you guys didn't see the game, I'll give you a quick rundown. So the Lakers end up losing to the Wizards in overtime, 127 to 124. Hat tip to Washington. Shit seemed pretty hopeless for them not long ago, and now they're on a 5 game win streak, thanks to us being not healthy and us just playing pretty bad. So, it might still be hopeless for them in the long term, but hey, I guess they can feel good in the short term. So good for them. It's good to see Russ, kind of getting this again because I didn't like seeing him go out all sad like that because I respect him as a competitor.
Mhm.
So as far as it goes for the Lakers, they're on a 3 game losing streak, and we got a game against the healthy Jazz next in line, who have the best record in the league and in the West. And they just have a chip on their shoulder, so they're going to be a tough out, and we'll get into that later on in the pod too. So in terms of this game, it started out really great. We had a solid first quarter, and they were actually going out there and they're actually trying. We're notoriously bad in the first quarter this year, but we ended up, 10. We only gave up 23 points to them. We made some threes, the ball was moving, and we were getting buckets in the restricted area, and we were making Washington work for every score. So things were looking good. Second quarter, same kind of story. We still kept them at arm's length, and I think we ended up the quarter up by around 10 or something. And then I just started being like, oh shit, are we actually going to try against a bad team? Because I'm loving it.
Right.
Yeah. The third quarter was going along. And then at the end of the third, Washington started making a run. They basically just hung around. They just didn't let the lead get too big. And the Lakers, that's when they started to relax. So fourth quarter came. I think we were only up 6 heading into it. And the Wizards ended up tying it back up shortly into the fourth. At one point, the Lakers had 10 straight missed threes. So they were turning back into that team that was just struggling so hard from the arc and, just kind of giving up bad plays defensively. Basically, what we've seen throughout this losing streak and even in some wins. So in the fourth quarter, the Wizards ended up recapturing a lead from a Rui Hachimura transition and one dunk, I remember. And that's kind of the moment where I thought, oh, God, they have life now. They think they can win.
Yeah.
So after that, it was pretty back and forth up to the final 2 minutes where we kind of just traded ties and lead changes. We managed to get it tied at 115 at the very end with LeBron. He basically just got into the restricted area, just muscled his way for a bucket, and he got an and one. He got the call. He had to go to the line and make the shot, and he did not make the free throw, so he did not get the lead at the end. So we ended up going to overtime, and I don't even remember exactly what happened in overtime, Martin. We just got outworked. We were tired. We were missing
Yeah.
shots. Let me ask, what did you see in that game, man? What did you think?
I mean, like you said, first of all, give credit to Washington. Kind of left for dead. They won 5 straight. You got to give credit to the winning team. They just won it. They just didn't lay down. But I mean, having said that, it's a bad loss. Up
No doubt.
17 in the third. I mean, let's just be real. They're I'm almost I'm willing to bet any amount of money that they won't make the playoffs. So
Talk
yeah,
about the team.
yeah,
Yeah.
about the Wizards, right? So yeah, it's a bad loss. We just like you said, they started making some shots. Our offense got real stagnant. We could talk about the coaching decision by Vogel. I just thought that was a really bad decision to sub out Montrez. I think it was maybe 6 minutes in the fourth.
Mhm.
Maybe it was 4 minutes in the fourth, and then he didn't play him at all in overtime.
Mm-mm.
I hated that decision. You could tell the Lakers didn't have um, really any guy with a lot of juice, and Montrez brought all the juice. in that game, and yeah, I didn't like that decision because even if he did have 5 fouls, it's like, you know what? If he fouls out, whatever. He was our best option that night. So, it's gonna be some ugly games. Like, yeah, no shit. We miss Anthony Davis. That's not breaking news. We could use a top 5 player in the world right now.
Hmm.
Um, but we gotta get out of our own way, just get a win. Unfortunately, I thought that was the one. I was like, you know what, that was the game. Because they definitely, the team morale. I feel like they really could use a win right now.
Yeah, and it really seemed like we were on our way to that win that first, 2 and a
Right.
half quarters, even 3. Because shit, they were locked in, and shots were falling. But going back to what you said, I totally agree about Trez, dude. That was his night. He was having his best game of the year in like
Yep.
21 minutes. He had 26 points, and I was like, shit, this is the best he's looked all year. And this
Yeah.
was going against Robin Lopez, who's a big dude, and he's still getting buckets on him. Same with Mo Wagner, our old boy. Um, he was still getting buckets on him too. It was really Trez's night, and yeah, I think they subbed in Gasol for some rebounding purposes at one point, and then I was just like, did Frank forget to put Trez back in? Like, what's going on?
Right.
So I was looking around post game quotes. Somebody asked Frank about it, and he said that I didn't roll with Trez because Robin Lopez is a big guy, and I wanted a bigger guy like Mark out there for defensive purposes. And I'm like, it was still kind of Trez's night. He was the guy just scoring for us tonight, man. Like, of course, hindsight is 2020, but that was Frank's logic at the end of the day. I heard an interesting thing on the Laker Film Room podcast. Frank tries to solve his problems with defense because he's a defensive minded coach. But I think
Okay.
an offensive approach was probably going to be the winning formula there. And of course, we can say that because hindsight and we're not the coach. But sometimes you might just have to give up some buckets just in favor of just having that offensive energy. Because, like you said, we really needed that energy tonight, man.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad. Shout out to the Laker Film Room podcast. I love those guys. I
Top of the
think,
game. Yep.
yeah, they're awesome. All of them, Mike, Pete. I love those guys. So, and I trust their takes, and I think that's a good point. Frank Vogel has made his money, as a defensive. From a defensive standpoint, he started in Indiana. Those defensive Indiana teams, man, they were fucking beasts, man,
Yep.
defensively. And but I'm glad they mentioned that because it's just true. Like, in that moment, it was Montrez's best game of the year. Montrez has had some good games this year. I definitely remember Christmas. He played well. Christmas, he played really well. But that was his best game against Washington. So the whole defensive thing, substitution, especially against a guy like Robin Lopez.
Yeah, he's
Robin
a little
Lopez.
deceptive.
Right. He's Robin Lopez, it is what it is, man. That's not an offensive threat. Now,
Hmm.
Joel Embiid and Nick Jokic and some of these like offensive superstar centers. All right. I could, but not against Robin Lopez. Montrez it was his, like you said, it was his best game. I didn't like that defensive offensive substitution.
Yeah, and in general with Trez, I think we just run a little too many ISOs for him. And credit to him, he is pretty good in these ISO scenarios. Even if he's going against a bigger guy, he'll put a couple moves in and then he'll pull up with a hand in his face. And I'm like, oh shit, that went in. But he's the reason he's such a good player is because he's a beast on the roll. And without freaking Dennis, he's not going to get as many opportunities. But I just wish they would make more priority of using him as the roll man. Plus, he can pass out of the roll too. So that's something.
Yeah.
Just rolling in general, we need to see more of that. Even LeBron and AD, I feel like we're over a year in, and we haven't seen enough LeBron and AD pick and rolls, man. Maybe teams game plan for it, but nah, we got to figure out a way to make those because we need to make those easy buckets happen. When we have the talent differential like that, we just got to capitalize on it with the like alley oops. I want to see more of those. I want to see more stuff on the roll in general.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love to see Montrez more in some role action. When AD gets back, some pin downs. some pin down plays for him. You know what? You know what shot I hate, and you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the Montrez face up jumper, and he'll make
That's
it.
what I was talking about. I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
sometimes those go in, but yeah,
and he'll make it right. He'll make it sometimes, and I'm like, okay, 2 points. But dude, the play I hate this year is the Montrez face up jumper because like we could just get some better action, a pin down, like you said, some roll motion. Definitely, I was really surprised, man, about the lack of alley oop dunks from LeBron to AD this year. Like they do not have a lot of LeBron and AD do not have a lot of pick and roll dunks. So that's definitely something. First of all, AD, just rest, man. Just, that's priority number one. But when he does get back, I'd like to see some of that.
I know when he's got that well-rested foot, man,
Yes.
it's been so much pick and pop this year and last, and AD's got a sweet jumper. I love it, man. He's got like a pretty form and everything. Love seeing it go in, but we look back on it, and the reason we probably weren't seeing so many dunks is because just his foot has been fucked up. So, I mean, that's kind of the lens that I view
Yeah.
the lack of athleticism from AD through now. Looking through some stats on the night, turnovers were killing us, particularly from LeBron. Man, forget how many exactly he had, but it was a big reason that the Wizards are getting back into it. Also, Braun was 2 of 10 from three. He was really settling for the jumper,
Oh,
and
shit.
it was. I
Was
know.
it 2 of 10, man? Oh, shit. I didn't
I
even
know it
realize it
didn't.
was that bad.
Right? It doesn't even feel like that, but you look back, he attempted 10 threes and he only made two of them. So that was something
Yeah.
that kind of put us in the hole too.
Yeah. I saw on the jump today on ESPN that like LeBron's minutes, basically before maybe about 2 weeks ago before Davis got hurt, he was like 50th. And like literally since then, he's number one in the league in minutes.
Oh God,
Now,
not what I want to
granted,
hear.
yeah, granted, that's because we went to overtime 3 straight games.
Yep.
So that's going to obviously make your minutes go up. Yeah, I didn't think Braun had a really good game. I mean, the guy that stood out was Montrez. He was the guy that only LeBron can have a bad game, and I'm sure his stat line was pretty outrageous.
Yeah, it
Because
was.
he's
It was like near triple
because
double. I think he had like
yeah,
30.
because he had 30 points. Yeah, like only LeBron can do that, right? Because he's LeBron. But I do think we're talking about the Wizards, and we'll get a little bit into the game tomorrow. But yeah, he definitely he just was not. You know what's interesting is that he's in year 18. We talk about LeBron year 18, yada yada, but he was so good on defense last year.
Mhm.
He's really underrated, and I think he was great on defense this year. But now that Davis is out, I could see his minutes going, and he's starting to be that old Cavs defense. LeBron, he's not defending, man.
Yeah. A lot of times, I think this year too, early on, he would really just ramp it up in the fourth quarter when the whole team collectively would.
Right,
Either we were down 10 or tied or only up by a few, like five, and it's like, okay, it's time to murder these guys. Let's go home. He would just defend like a
right,
motherfucker. It's like he would
dude.
always save it for the fourth
Exactly.
quarter.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, last year, he didn't get enough credit, I think, defensively. And this year he was defending well too, but then something's happened since Davis has got hurt. I could tell, like I said, unfortunately, he's got some of that old Cavs LeBron defense. And shit, man.
Mhm.
Like I'm sure he's tired. Obviously, he came out with the quote yesterday. He doesn't care, load management. It's like, damn it, LeBron. He's sometimes I'm just uh what would be so horrible if we um I don't know, went into the All-Star break as like the fourth seed. Like whatever, Mateo. Like, all right, then that means we got to play Utah in the second round or something. Like, I don't care, bro. Just get healthy. But LeBron's not going to do that. He's going to play every night.
Yeah, and I respect that about him. But I am warming up to the idea of, hey, maybe we won't get that one seed now because Utah is kind of settling into that position, and it's still early. But the thing I would worry about falling to like the 4 seed or something is if, yeah, we might play Utah in the second round. What if the Clippers make it in the second round too? I do think they're a little better this year than they were last year because they went through that embarrassment, like Utah, of losing that 3-1 lead. And, they made some upgrades and they're just looking like a better team than last year, in my opinion. So that's something that I kind of got in my head. And we'll revisit that later on when the season kind of develops some more. But we're in a rough stretch of the season, undeniably, dude. But once we get
Yeah,
Schroeder back on Friday, we can only hope that things are going to turn around a bit.
yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did like about the end of the game, and hey, maybe this doesn't even mean anything really, but when the game was still kind of in the balance in the fourth quarter and we were battling back, we got clutch threes from Kuz, Caruso, and KCP. It was good to see some threes go in for them to kind of, close the lead and even tie the game up in some senses. And they were like one after the other. You remember those plays happening?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, do we need KCP? And it goes back to like this short off season. We didn't have a whole lot of time in preseason and whatnot. So I get it. But I think we talked about it actually the first time me and you talked after that Brooklyn game. But KCP last year was like unquestionably our third best player. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, and he doesn't need to be that this year. Okay, that's granted, but we need him to step up. And he's been in this really bad funk. So, like you mentioned, the threes by Kuzma had a big one, and like you said, KCP, and Caruso. So these guys gotta, they gotta make the open shots because at the beginning of the year we were a great 3-point shooting team. Now we're fallen back to like really below average. I think at the end of the year, it's going to be somewhere in between the middle. We're not this bad. We might not be the best, but we're not this bad. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it was encouraging, like you said, especially um, back to back to back, especially KCP with 21 points. I think he had. So hopefully KCP gets back to form.
He's going to be really big for us. Yeah. If we can get
Yeah.
last year's KCP on it, and I was honestly surprised by how good KCP was last year. Because man, if you go through my tweets, I'm the one being like, "Don't sign this motherfucker! Please don't bring him back."
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
we
I,
for
I
sure
was one of
bullied
those
him.
people.
Oh
Most
yeah.
of us were.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we bullied the hell out of this guy, man.
I
But
know.
shout out to him. Like, we bullied KCP, but man, in the bubble, there was I trusted it was Braun, AD, KCP. That's it, right? Like, I mean,
No,
obviously, you got to give as a team we won, but I'm saying like our third best player, our third most consistent player, it was KCP. So we got to get him going. Maybe that end of game three and like will spark him, going into this all-star break. I hope so.
I hope so too. Yeah, and I hope it would kind of spark Caruso and Kuzma to get their shooting back on track too. Kuz had another all right
Right.
game. I don't have the stats in front of me, but he made some more threes this game, which was encouraging to see too. Um, oh yeah, right after the game, the Lakers ended up waiving Quinn Cook. Did you see that?
I did, man. I'd like to know your thoughts. I think it's, you know, like obviously we're going to be, there's another move to be foreseen. Shout out to Quinn Cook. Glad he got his ring. But I mean, let's just be real. There wasn't like, in my opinion, a big role for Quinn Cook. He's an average point guard who's undersized, very undersized. Um, and as far as like a skill set for us, it's not. There wasn't much use. So, what's your take on Cook getting waived and like right after the game too? It's just kind of odd timing, but what's your take there?
I think he wasn't going to give us meaningful minutes either. What I'm going to remember
Yeah,
about Quinn Cook's tenure is when after Kobe passed, just seeing Cook go to the Staples Center with everyone else and just kind of forget, celebrity status and everything for a moment. And I like how other people kind of didn't go crazy. I mean, no one's emotions were really, really in a good place, so that they're not going to like maul Quinn Cook or anything. But that's what I'm going to remember about his tenure as a Laker, man. I might remember him as a Warrior just because that's just kind of how he came into the league and stuff. But I'll remember him just with the other Laker fans kind of mourning Kobe. That's kind of the image I'll remember. But he wasn't like in terms of just the game, he wasn't going to be able to contribute to this roster. Shit, man. If he was just like 6'4", 6'5", I'm sure he could have. But size matters at
Right.
that point, man. So
Yeah, size. Yeah, as an undersized guard, but like you said, that was like he was like a great chemistry locker room guy for us. Us apparently, I mean, like AD's like right hand guy.
oh, I didn't
Him and
know that.
AD were really, yeah, him and AD were pretty close. Like you said, it was a so wild seeing him at Staples Center after Kobe passed. Like you said, like nobody was no celebrity status. He just like being one of us because he just
Mhm.
was a huge Lakers fan and Kobe fan growing up. So super glad and happy that he gets to at least, I mean, we won, we won the championship. So he gets another ring. So the Warriors championship and this one. And yeah, as far as him being waived, I wasn't surprised because, like you said, I mean, there wasn't meaningful minutes, playoff minutes, especially for Cook.
Yeah, and we were gonna have enough money to get a veteran minimum before Cook left, but now that he left, I think we have even more money. Maybe we'll be able to afford a second minimum guy, with Cook gone, or maybe that's just a little more that we could give one more guy. I don't
I
know.
think so too.
Yeah, I don't know the exact cap workings, but him, it felt like it was going to be inevitable, right? Like Rob's just going to make the move that's best for the franchise always. So yeah, cut and cook. He got his ring with us though, and we're always going to have respect for him in that sense. So
For sure.
yeah, filling out the roster, it's about that time, man. They'll be hunting the buyout market. Um, it's either going to be a big or a wing. I'd like to see an athletic big, honestly. I think that's going to come in handy when teams are really just killing us in the paint. And just in case AD gets banged up again, you never know with the Achilles. Hopefully nothing horrible happens, but yeah, you just never know. Anyways, looking
Yeah,
ahead
I
to the
think.
oh, go for it, go for it.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say those two positions. An athletic big, a center, a wing for sure. I'd really love a wing if they could make that happen. And that's definitely what it's. I trust Palinka. He's more than he deserves our trust after with the roster, after the job he did last year, and then improving the roster. So, I think that's kind of be the focal point. So we'll see.
We'll see what this team turns into, man. But yeah, we got a game against the Jazz coming up tomorrow. They're at the top
Yes,
of the West, best overall record in the league at 25-6. Mentioned it earlier. They got royally embarrassed after blowing that 3-1 lead, but I think it seems like they came back with a chip on their shoulder, kind of like we did to start the year. Mike Conley had really a bad year last year, but he seems to be playing better. Bojan Bogdanovic didn't even play for them in the playoffs, and he's playing better now too. Or he's actually playing, so he's contributing there. Um, yeah, their hot start reminds me a lot last year. They had kind of a softer schedule to start, and I think when you have a softer schedule like that, it helps you get good at the things you're really good at, if you know what I'm saying. It like helps
right.
kind of refine your strengths, refine your ceiling as a team. And then they've gone on to play teams like the Clippers and get quality wins over them. The Bucks, do we want to count the Bucks as a quality win now? I still think I do. What do you think?
Yeah, that's Utah. I know the game you're talking about. That's definitely still a quality win, for
Because they
sure.
beat them bad. They whooped them.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like they smacked them by like 20, and it was at home. No, that's still a good win. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think we should still count it. Even though the Bucks might not be as clear-cut contenders, I think you can still count. They still got Giannis. I think you can still count that as a quality win.
Right,
Um, dude, basically in this game, with us being so banged up, I was thinking about it. The only way we're gonna win this shit is if we catch fire from three. Like we just gotta, shoot them up, pray they go in, and let the math do all the work for us. It seems. I mean, what do you think?
right. I think yeah, it's you're playing a great team. I mean everything you mentioned. They're hot. They're pissed off about the bubble. They had like I think just the right amount of time um, between the bubble and the season. Like I look at a team like the Heat and the Celtics and the Lakers and the Nuggets. Like that's quick as hell.
I'm jealous of
Utah
all the rest
though,
that the Jazz got, man.
right?
they
So
they got embarrassed, but
Utah,
they got a lot more downtime. Shit, look how healthy they are.
they had downtime. Exactly. They blew a 3-1 lead in the first round. Um, and it's like refreshing to see this team. It's refreshing because like I'm watching Utah, like they're playing like an angry, pissed off team. They're playing like a team that's pissed off about blowing a 3-1 lead, and they have a great. It's going to be especially difficult because you know how the Lakers in Utah, it's always hard. As
Mhm.
far as like winning the game, I mean, catching fire from three, yeah, that's for sure. And I just know that LeBron is going to play. So I was going to say, well, if he doesn't play, then whatever. It's a wash. We lost. It is what it is. But maybe LeBron has an ESPN, MVP type performance. 35 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, something like that type of thing that LeBron can only do. And I think, like you said, catching fire from three, but dude, we got to do a lot right, and they got to do some things wrong because Utah. I mean, they're especially at home, man. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard as hell.
I know, yeah. It would be hilarious if we come out with this win, though. We lose to the Nets, the
Right.
Heat, the Wizards,
I
and then
know.
we beat the Jazz. I would laugh my ass off, to be honest. Shit, man.
And I want to just see how they stack up. I don't want to lose four straight. So I really hope that this team just plays hard. I know they're like where they're all thinking it, like they're close to the All-Star break. But play hard from the opening jump and give Utah everything that they got.
I know. And then when we get Schroeder back on Friday, fingers crossed that we can finally start getting back on track
Yes.
with it, man. That would be
Right.
the big thing. Yeah, that's all I got, man. You got any last words?
That's pretty much it for me too. I think that it's honestly, man, like what's funny is after like the Celtics, I hate the Celtics, of course, and after they lose, like Bill Simmons like does emergency pod and all that bullshit, and he does like his panic meter. So, um, he did a panic meter after I think they choked that game to the Pelicans. Anyway, um, the Celtics lost again tonight, and he was like at like a 9 or a 10. And like Mateo, seriously, man, I'm still at like a 3 right now for the Lakers.
I'm still not concerned, man. We're still sitting pretty, man. People act like we just
Yeah,
win the championship and have AD and LeBron on our team. Like, I'm chilling.
bro, I'm totally chilling, man. My panic meter is barely at a 3, and I'm old enough to remember that 2001 Lakers, juggernaut that lost one playoff game. That 2001 team, and that team didn't really like, you could just tell, man, they coasted in the regular season. And so
Yep.
like if we're completely healthy, no COVID, AD's got his calf healed, man, I'm fine. My panic, like we'll be all right, man. Those are my closing thoughts. I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but I'm still not panicking, bro. Not at all.
Yeah, man, I'm around the same area too. It's like a 3 or a 4. It's really going to come down to shit, man. Short off season, and you know that every team in history has kind of, cooled down a bit after they win a championship, except maybe the 2016 Warriors who just cranked their shit up. But pretty much every team that wins a championship, they tend to play a little less hard in the regular season because they got a little bit less to prove. And then you just throw the shortened off season on top of that. So we just got to put shit in perspective, and we just got to keep doing it. Let's hope the Lakers get it back on track, man.
Yeah, I am excited. I'm a little nervous about the game tomorrow, but I am excited. I'll for sure be texting you, hitting you up, man. Kind of
Mhm.
just following because it is a big game. It's the best team in the NBA right now, ESPN. So it is a big game. So I am excited to see it.
And that would make it even sweeter if we somehow pull out a win over the team everyone wants the Jazz to win, dude, because they haven't won yet. Donovan Mitchell. I like Mitchell. Honestly, he's a likable dude. Don't really like Gobert. I don't really think he's that super likable, especially
Man,
because
fuck Gobert. He's the reason we're in all this, bro.
he's stealing
What
AD's Defensive
Gobert?
Player of the Year votes, man.
Gobert's
He can sit the fuck
dumbass
down.
touching mics, stealing defensive player of the year. Nah, fuck yeah, you hit it right on the head. Mitchell, he's got all my respect, bro. Mitchell, especially after that nuts game he had in the bubble, like with 50, and the way he's playing this year. No, but fuck Gobert. We'll see Gobert down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy can I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, good talking to you, man. We'll be having you
Always
back
good
on
talking with
soon.
you, man.
Mhm.
Okay, all the way, bro.
All right, take it easy, man. Later.